WrestleMania 40. A bum-kneed Seth Rollins takes a steel chair to the back to help his nemesis-turned-ally Cody Rhodes win the top prize from Roman Reigns. It was the completion of a redemption arc that had started over a year prior. The architect had spent the 2020s up until that point playing a campy villain, like something out of the old Adam West Batman show, with a goofball laugh, ludicrous outfits, and a generally, shall we say, zesty, silly vibe. It was a love-it-or-hate-it gimmick, and one that left Rollins largely away from the world title picture, frequently losing the bigger matchups he managed to net. In 2023, however, Rollins gradually turned face, first by humbling Logan Paul and KSI at WrestleMania 39, in a beef that firmly put Rollins in the good guy books for the first time since 2019. At Night of Champions 2023, a new world title was on the line, an update of the classic Big Gold. Rollins defeated AJ Styles in a solid tournament finals bout to get his hands on it, and quickly set himself and the title apart from then undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Where Reigns' defenses had become a special attraction, Rollins was a working man's champion, racking up successful defenses all over the shop. He was still a goofball, sure. He was still raiding big-time Bex's closet at home, sure. But he was now a fighting champion, winning clean as a dominant workhorse in a promotion that has frequently rewarded part-time pups over full-time commitment. Last year, he cemented himself as one of the leading babyfaces in the WWE when he buried the hatchet with Cody Rhodes, a man he'd once spiked in the back with a sledgehammer, and offered to back him up in his seemingly doomed war against The Rock and Roman Reigns. Despite the general silly exterior, Rollins was clearly a man of competitive honor at this point, standing by a fellow hard-working good guy, not because he liked him personally, but because he respected him professionally, and knew it was the right thing to do. It was a nice story, and Rhodes and Rollins setting aside their differences to tackle the High Chief and the Tribal Chief made for a very compelling build to WrestleMania 40. And while they lost the tag team match on night one, his feud was far from over. And in reality, Rollins' long history of knee injuries meant he needed time off after WrestleMania 40. In kayfabe, he broke his body and lost his title in service of finally putting an end to Roman Reigns' 3+ year reign of terror. The visual of new champion Cody Rhodes shaking Seth Rollins' hand at WrestleMania 40 was a moving conclusion to a long-term redemption arc for Rollins, as he had moved from crazed villain to a noble star who essentially took a bullet for a man he'd grown to respect despite hateful beginnings. Good stuff, very good, compelling storytelling, nice. And when Rollins returned, fans were happy to see him, and he enjoyed plenty of crowd support in quick feuds with Damian Priest and later on Bronson Reed, in a revenge feud that again firmly established Rollins as one of WWE's most dependable babyface acts. In the meantime, Paul Heyman's connections with both Roman Reigns and CM Punk planted seeds for a long-awaited singles feud. Heyman called Punk in to help the OG bloodline get the job done against the Wish.com bloodline for War Games. And while Punk was tight with Heyman, it was clear he and Reigns did not get along, and it seemed like only a matter of time before that tension turned into something bigger. In reality, years prior, CM Punk infamously roasted WWE for their obsession with making Roman Reigns look strong back in the Shield days. Back when Punk and Colt Cabana were still buddies, it was a much simpler time. Punk airing the dirty laundry of WWE's plans to make Reigns an unstoppable force was one of several components in what led to many fans angrily rejecting Reigns' big main event push in 2015. You know, that. Plus Daniel Bryan getting totally chumpified at the Royal Rumble that year. Plus Reigns saying, "Suffering succotash" and "donkey dung for brains" and whatever other pure, unfiltered retardation Vince McMahon afflicted him with. There was something about Jack and the Beanstalk as well, I can't even remember properly. The real-life heat starts right there. There's the smart hook for Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. So 2021, CM Punk arrives in AEW to major fanfare, grown men crying in the audience, as Punk suggests his professional wrestling career actually ended in 2005 when he left Ring of Honor. The implication was that WWE is not even pro wrestling. Just that no-good sports entertainment, just pandering to the hardcore fans AEW attracted in abundance at the time is what CM Punk was doing, essentially. Reigns, meanwhile, had finally found his footing as a top dog, enjoying a well-received Universal Championship run as the Tribal Chief by that point. When asked what he thought of Punk during an interview with Ariel Helwani, Reigns instead focused on Punk's first main event run in the WWE, dismissing his drawing power, or lack thereof, suggesting John Cena was a better overall talent, and that Punk simply could not move the needle the way guys like Cena or The Rock could. Alright, both guys have publicly rinsed the other for real. There's now been a tense can they coexist angle between them all these years later. The seeds are planted. The singles feud is right there, ready to sprout for WrestleMania. And then Seth Rollins gets thrown in. WWE didn't get to do their planned Punk vs. Rollins feud in early 2024 because CM Punk's triceps went on strike for the second time this decade. Instead of WrestleMania 40, as was the initially rumoured plan, the pair finally clashed on the premiere episode of Raw on Netflix back in January this year. Punk won, and since then, Rollins has steadily been declining into the maddened heel persona he had going on before 2023. At the Royal Rumble, he attempted to turn Roman Reigns into a vegetable, stumping his man-bun brains into mush. Since then, his feverish obsession with CM Punk has continued to paint him into a more heelish, more regressed character. This week, SmackDown, live from London, saw a contract signing for what is set to be a WrestleMania main event next month, night one presumably, but who knows. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. No title up for grabs here. The WWE Championship will see Cody Rhodes defend against heel John Cena, while the World Heavyweight Championship has regressed to the mid-card, with resident charisma vacuum Gunther defending the gold against mid-card Jey Uso. This triple threat, you see, is personal. It's about pride, not the type of pride we accuse Rollins of having. Honor, revenge, and a host of other intangible themes WWE is struggling to develop effectively in what largely feels like three top stars thrown together due to Triple Nose not having any proper plans for them at this year's WrestleMania. Now, the contract signing that just happened had some amusing banter from Reigns to Punk, and then there's the big moment when Paul Heyman reveals to CM Punk that the bout will be the main event. It is CM Punk's dream, but at the same time it is not quite CM Punk's dream, as he used to always harp on about having a WWE Championship main event back in the day at WrestleMania. But hey, it's a nice moment for him, the crowd loved it, and Punk was moved, he had the little misty eyes, over the confirmation his old dream was largely sort of coming true, finally. The stuff between Punk and Reigns here was decent, and tension was teased between Punk and Heyman when the Second City Saint noted this does not count as whatever the hell this favour they keep mentioning will be. Also worth noting, though, it left Seth Rollins looking like a third wheel. Maybe that's by design, maybe this is all leading to a big angle with Rollins at Mania, including, perhaps, the rumoured Heyman-Rollins alliance some have floated. Should that happen at WrestleMania, on one hand, the positive side of that, it's an interesting swerve angle, sure. It might hook some old viewers in the weeks after Mania who want to see where it goes. On the other hand, though, it completely sullies not one, but two redemption arcs WWE made a big deal out of last year. Now, I've droned on about Seth Rollins' redemption arc for quite a while in this video, but Paul Heyman had one last year too. Last year, he refused to be disloyal to Roman Reigns, and he took a brutal beating from Solo Sikoa and his cronies for his troubles. He then later returned to help Reigns assemble the team at War Games at Survivor Series. So should Rollins go back to being a snivelling scumbag and Heyman a traitorous creep? Well, there's two pieces of long-term storytelling that just got ditched for a quick pub. Overall, regardless of how WrestleMania winds up going down, Seth Rollins has essentially been set up to fail, with an angle that's undoing much of the strong work he's put together over the past 2 years for a convoluted storyline largely failing to capitalize effectively on the popularity of three of WWE's most important stars right now.